17 live, bro. What the fuck? Yeah.
Hey, carry my dog and let Jesus peace. Pray to God he gon' touch your beat. Charge 400 cause the talk ain't cheap. I still got little niggas around that corner. I'm still gonna be up if I die today. I can't do question like a tidal wave. I got this shit on lock, don't it? And I got your bitch on lock, don't it? I got the dick make a toxic, don't it? I got this shit make a plot, don't it? I was in the shot town with Jay making Donda. I gotta buy up the block, don't it? I got a lot of shit to pop, don't it? And she got that little wop, don't she? I know how to hit a spot, don't it? She addicted to my special. Had to start making rice around me. I don't take your advice, you can show me. Had to put some privacy trees around the villa, cause I know the neighbors who know me. Turned 23, then I pulled up an 8 in my shoulder, cause I miss Kobe. Can't depend on you niggas, I move like I'm Jigga, I keep the bees on my loan. That internet check, you a chatty pet. On a golf crush, but I ain't got no petty. I like when the hands move on straight. I make sure you don't eat with your own plate. Niggas talking that tough on a long shot. I told my little bitch how to take care of a nigga. I like when she takes what you all baby. A lot of these niggas talk shit, but they got it. I ain't little baby, but I get 4 pockets full. Roddy pulling up in the drop with the wolves. I want my bitch to have money like oh, you know she's special. I'm picking, I chose. Starter kid came with an outer space rover. She like to travel and travel and travel, so I flew out and back to California. Came like that, like Jesus, peace.
What is a dream? A dream is something we all have. People will box you and make you believe you can only be what they perceive of you. But you need to remember, you're on your own journey. In it, you'll meet incredible people who will back you with their hands, their time, and resources. You'll also meet people who wish they could assist. At Slick on Life, we get requests from young people asking us to help them with their dreams. This is why we're supporting Lead Bank's Youth X campaign. They're on a mission to find and invest in the best business ideas, innovations, and other proposals. All you have to do is enter your work for the chance to win life-changing prizes that can change your future. I know, you're saying it's another one of those competitions, and what are the chances you'd be considered? Slick on Life has therefore asked Nedbank to make time with our followers and everyone else and assist them in preparing your pitch to widen your chances. Join us with Nedbank on the 13th of September at 6 o'clock on the Zoom link below. And also on our Twitter Spaces at 6:30 to ask all your questions to assist you in preparing to get to your dream.
Yeah. 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 Oh, okay. You don't know. I'm walking. Yeah. Are we good? Okay. Is that it? The play man. Yeah, please. He's just gonna play something in the background while we wait. Yeah? I'm gonna play something in the background. Yeah? Are we good? Hey, what's up, everybody? Good evening tonight. Thanks for coming through. Firstly, I think let me really just start with the why we're here. I'm gonna be really brief because I'll be back. You know, I think that as people of color, you know, we popular for speaking in corridors about our issues, you know, in the worlds that we work in, and that includes us as creators. You know, I call ourselves all creators, whether you are sitting in a corporate space or whether you are actually creating content for a social media platform. And my view was that because we work with everyone, we're like there's this wall that we built with each other where the influencers who are actually influencing the deals to happen inside corporate literally like always have this little clash with the influencers that are actually creating content for social. So I literally figured, you know, like who's going to do an event for black people to be able to kind of say, can we acknowledge ourselves and see ourselves for ourselves and say we won, except one of us. So here I am. So with that being said, I want to I mean, I got a couple of people that helped me out tonight, so I want to shout out the sponsors. Shout out to Coca-Cola, Hennessy, Stella Artois. Thanks for making it happen. I also want to just say thanks for the product. Shout out. Thanks for the product and the furniture, but which like I would be paying for that too. So shout out to y'all. I deliberately got everybody. I know that I put stars in everybody like we're in preschool or high school, but to be true to the event, I literally put like gold stars for everybody that I believe is a corporate influencer. And I also put colorful stars for everybody that I believe is a content influencer. The reason is that we've got this whole house. You guys will see who's who. And I never told you guys this guy's from this company or that person's from that company. It's just, I just want it to be a natural thing because you see what happens when you don't even know who's who in the zoo. Y'all start engaging because we people, right? We're not influencers. We're not brand managers or whatever the case be, you know? So that was the point of today. So if you see someone with the gold star, with the colorful star, yo, meet new people, network. I know a lot of y'all are meeting each other for the first time also because of COVID and just the nature of the world that we're in today. But please meet somebody new, build. Part of this is saying who's gonna bring their clients. Some of these people are my clients here. Who's gonna bring them in front of you so you guys can engage with them and connect with them like we've done tonight. So that's the point of tonight. Please use it wisely. Second to that, what I've done, I know that I've been stressing some of y'all because some of y'all don't know how to use Slack. Don't worry, I also watched that video that I sent to you guys 2 days ago because I never knew how to use it. I've always been told. But the point of the Slack page is that if you go to the Slack page today, or even tomorrow in the next 48 hours, I've literally put some of the tools in the 17 years I've been working in the industry. I've literally put some tools of some of the people that I work with who've helped me with my contracts to make the money make sense for things that are bigger than just the influencer things. A lot of y'all are going to that space. You sometimes don't know who to reach out to. So I put those relationships there. So if you want to reach out, you can go to the Slack page. I don't need to know anything. Y'all could just DM me. I'll connect you with the guys. They're ready. I've literally also created a little link for a company in I don't know, some other countries. It's a link, whatever that other country. But the point is that they'll help you monetize your YouTube. I'm working with them too. So if anything, if you don't know how to monetize your YouTube, you're trying to figure it out, or you think you know, maybe it's worth your while to jump on that page if you're interested on that Slack page and find out how you could actually connect with those people, if anything. I've also got connects to, y'all know I've been cyber bullied over the past few years. Maybe you don't know, maybe you do know. But I've also got a connection of mine, a lawyer of mine. I've been working for close to 17 years. I've been cyber bullied. I told my real bully said, let's go get him. I said, no, there's money in the cyber bullying. And my lawyer found the money in the cyber bullying. So I got those type of lawyers. If y'all want to connect, go to the Slack page. I'm giving you my tools that have helped me, right? And on top of that, rate cards, if you don't know how to, some of y'all should know how to do rate cards by now. Okay, for those that actually act like they know, but they don't know, you can also go on the page. You can find a template of a rate card. I've also got what to look out for if you've got an influencer contract, things that you need to ask, things that you got to look out for. Please, these documents are not complete. So if you have input, if you've got questions, and if you know better, please add. And even also for the corporate influencers, that space is also for you. I mean, y'all want to do influencer strategies and you call the agencies, but you don't literally call the people who are actually creating the content. So you can now also jump on that page. You can do focus groups with real influencers to kind of build your strategies. So your strategies are not just for what an agency thinks they need to do, because you got to think that an influencer also is an agency on their own because they're creative and they're agent on their own. So join that Slack page if you haven't joined that Slack page. I've explained the reasons of the stars. Please, guys, connect tonight. Tonight there is no titles. Tonight there are no labels. Tonight we are here, Sila. We're connecting. We're building. Use tonight If there's something or someone that you want to speak to me. If some of y'all have engaged with some of my team, speak to me, ask me. You know, we're here to share. We're giving the tools, and I've even got the people physically here that I also kind of engage with and give us the opportunity to keep working all the time. So yeah, who does a party like that? I'm gonna start off with our first speaker tonight, Mr. Jared Cinman, and I know that the order is gonna be switched up a little bit, so I'm gonna start off with him today. Jared has basically been a great person for us at SLIKOURONLIFE. He's basically, I mean, the whole team from VML and Gerard, literally these guys have been have been great friends of us as a company. And I literally called him and I said, I want to do an event for Black people. And I want Black people to understand their power and their influence, and we need to stop short-circuiting each other when we get on stages and we think we're famous, or when we get in boardrooms and we think we've made it. And then Jared started saying a lot of things, you know, about his experience. I said, wait, hold up, Jared. You just said the speech. You need to come and give my people a reality check, because if they hear it from me, they're going to say I look like them. So I've invited Jared so he can also give his perspective of our influence and even ourselves from the roles that he's played. And I think he's close by now. He's right here, CEO of VML YNR South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please put your hands together for Jared? Thank you. What don't we do? And there's always these COVID things. Okay, while we're wiping it, yo, Jared's speech though, if you're a rapper, you're like, whoa. That's quite a setup. Cool. Thank you for inviting me. This is a super glamorous event. I've had COVID for the last week, so I've mostly seen the inside of my bedroom. And like most of you, I thought I was doing well. I came to this house, so that's good. So yeah, I guess I'm going to start with this quote. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. That was said by Steve Biko, one of the great revolutionary thinkers of last century. And when I was asked to give a short speech today, and yeah, it did come from that call I had with Sia, I figured I only had time to land one really important message. And that message is this. Yes. Okay, it was feeding back, that's fine. Okay. So so that message is this. White people don't want you to succeed. And that may sound really weird coming from me for obvious reasons. It may sound like I'm trying to be uncharitable or provocative, or I'm trying to win your favor. But regardless, it is true. And obviously I'm generalizing because I have a short time and there are obviously exceptions. But by and large, for our purposes, that is the truth. So why am I saying this? This is not something that's true of white people because of the color of their skin. It's true of any privileged class that holds power. People in power with privilege only really worry about two things: how to keep it and how to get more of it. So it seems to me that many people of color have two false and somewhat contradictory narratives running in their minds about this mostly white male elite. The first is that those people hate you, or they dislike you, or they have antagonism toward you. The truth is actually much worse than that. They don't think much about you at all. They are not invested in your success or your failure. They don't hold any coherent ideas about your context. They're ahistorical, and in the main, they're obsessed with their own futures.
And since they hold most of the power and the money, those futures are pretty good, especially as they watch you from flying in their low orbit on their vanity spacecraft. The second is the belief that white people feel guilty and that they want to redress the centuries of injustice behind them. And I've also personally experienced that to be false most of the time. They make claims about that, about wanting justice. They comply with the relevant laws, but very few of them have taken any time to understand how they got where they are. And most believe what they've done themselves. They've made their own luck. They don't believe that they've gotten any kind of racial dividend. And they feel increasingly maligned by the narrative that casts them and their ancestors as villains. So the response then to this circumstance has to be calibrated around these realities. Hating white people in the way the EFF or more extreme groups do is actually a victory for the oppressor. Your strongest chains are your own mind. If you obsess about white people and spend every waking moment plotting their demise, you're giving them the power that they desperately want to keep. And that's the funny thing about hatred, is that it shines a spotlight on the object, not the subject. A human being's greatest fear is not hatred, it's to be ignored. So when we ran a study a little while ago in our agency using our performance appraisal data, what we found is something really worrying. The people who rated people of color the lowest in the business were the people of color. Black women routinely rated other black women the lowest of everybody in the business. And consistently, white people scored many magnitude higher than anybody else. And that was across the board, all parts of the company at all levels. And I've seen this play out over many years. When we promote someone of color, others of color outwardly celebrate, but often sabotage them or undermine them or leave in a dust storm of envy. So, what am I saying? The injustices of the past will unfortunately but inevitably never be redressed. The wealth stolen by the Europeans from our continent will never be returned. The lives lost and destroyed by Afrikaner nationalism will never be avenged. But there is one thing you and we can do, and that is to succeed and to win and prove them wrong. By supporting each other, by holding each other up, by giving yourselves what no one else will, which is faith in yourselves, in each other, and in the unshakable belief that what you have seen up till now as inferiority or weakness is really just the kernel of a different way of being that is equal to and as rich and powerful as anything the current ruling elite has made in the centuries past. So what you need and want from white allies is two things. You need their knowledge to be taught and their resources to be marshaled. And then a third thing, when the moment comes, to get out of your way and stay silent so that you have the oxygen and the space to rise. So I'll end on a Biko quote as well. He intended this to be a wake-up call when he said it in the 70s. And I offer it to you in that same spirit. And that is, black man, you're on your own. And I'll amend that to black person, which I'm sure is what he meant. You're on your own. Unfortunately, there are some exceptions to the statement, and it's in that spirit that I offer my support for this awesome commission tonight. Thank you so much. Don't come near me, I might still be contagious.
I'm trying to wait for you to walk away so I can. Yeah. Thank you. Guys, please, once again, put your hands together for Jared. So y'all heard it yourself, right? You're on your own. I'm gonna let my next speaker come in. This guy has been this guy, when I met him, he was funny because he thought I was because he was like, he had that I want to be told by a celebrity. He had that attitude when it's going to be 6, 7 years ago when I first kind of had an encounter with him. Never took no mind to me. Then he kept calling me to help him to work on a strategy, and I never even asked him for a cent. And I think he felt guilty. And then we started having a great friendship from then on. His name is Wandi Kabinde. I must also say he's also one of the guys that's been very upfront with helping us as a company. Even last year during COVID, when times were tough, he was a guy I could call and say, yo, because we got to be 100, right? Plus, this kid is from Postleras and I'm from Leondale. So I still feel like, I'm from the suburbs, he's from the ghetto. So I'm like, yo, you know. So I called him up, during COVID. I said, yo, man, it's tough, bro. What can you do? And look, he's so high up there. He was like, yo, try speak to this person, that person, and that person. And it came together. He made it happen. So he's a guy who's just become a friend also. His name is Wandi Nkabinde. Who's prepared a nice speech for best practice for creatives on social media. And he's got a lot of opinions. So he was the best guy to meet. He even had the wrong opinions about me. So come through, Wandi. Hopefully you got the right opinions tonight. And just as a side note, Wandi is multi-choice head of media. So he's just not a guy, Josephus Loras, guy who started from the dust.
That's why I don't get deals. Hi everyone. I hope the camera can see me. I am a bit short, so if you say that I can put as Usia sort of like alluded to, I am on Silinkabinde. I look after media, paid media and digital marketing at MultiChoice, or at Deshnie SA. For some of the guys that probably won't understand the part around paid media. So pretty much everything that is paid for within the marketing space across television, social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube, all those platforms. So our role is just to manage the budgets and the strategies associated with that, just to run companies. And yes, it is millions most of the time, hundreds of millions most of the time. I see a couple of colleagues in the room, Heineken, Sanlam and so forth. So the guys sort of like would pretty much understand. So my background, as you mentioned it, worked in quite a lot of brands and I've seen a lot of mistakes that brands are doing and a lot of influencers are doing. All the way from shooting music videos, having to motivate the budget to shoot music videos for some of their artists, especially back 2015, going to the rooms, motivating the budget for things, vehicles to be in certain shows, motivating the budget for shows like The Hustle. So, I was the guy that had to go to the room and ask KFC, hey guys, there's this show that doesn't exist. I think we need to cough out quite a bit of money to do it. Very tough conversation, but we're able to make those things happen by having conversations with guys like yourselves, because a lot of us sitting on the fence most of the time, we're not just corporate, but we do understand the culture as well. So it generally does help quite a lot to have these engagements every time. And yeah, Mountain Heights, Soundbites, etc. Quite a lot of work that we had to do to motivate for a lot of those budgets. And yeah, so where I'm sitting right now, I'm not way up high there. I still take CS calls. But yeah, as I alluded to it, few mistakes. So I'm gonna, how I've structured this conversation is around the do's and don'ts. And this is purely from a marketer's point of view and what I have seen some influencers or creatives, the mistakes they do or some opportunities that they miss when they engage us. One being, do not speak ill of another brand. guys, I cannot stress enough, do not ever publicly speak badly about any brand. Because what happens is that a lot of us, we're sitting there, we're watching. It could have been a bad experience that you had with a specific brand, but it serves no good purpose for you to say bad things about them. It's cool in a table with your friends, but when we see it, what it does, it makes a lot of marketers quite anxious about your tone publicly, and we tend to wonder what you're going to do when we work with you. Again, it could have been a brand that you didn't, work with, but you tweeted or you posted or said some stuff. If it's there on your timeline somewhere, delete it, because some of the first things we do, we go back and check. If you've spoken ill, you might lose deals without even knowing, right? I've had alcohol brands come and say, hey man, we want to work with this guy, we've seen you work with him before, what do you think? And I'll say, tough guy to work with, I'm not sure, right? And the deal didn't happen. Unfortunately, I can't mention the artist, I can't mention and what brand is it, but a very important point, guys, please avoid it as best as you possibly can. And then the second point is around the don'ts is don't oversell yourself. Just cut it down with your ego just a bit. Rest assured, there's many ways where brand can reach the very same market or followers that you have, right? We can easily run campaigns where we can target followers of a specific creator or types of creators very easily on digital. Even if you have a website, we can do things like behavioral remarketing and say, hey, people that land on a drip website, so drip here in the room, I want to target people that, land on the specific page without even having to partner with the brand itself. So when you find yourself in a room with a brand already, it's a step forward. It means those guys want to do that thing and they really want to work with you. And everyone is an equal. And then just keep it flowing in that way. Listen and be quite attentive in those specific spaces. And then the second point is, you don't lose your niche. Focus on consistent branding because, people tend to lose what they stand for as influencers. If there's something that is your passion and it's what you want to drive, whether you're a traveler, if traveling is your passion point, and there's a lot of posts that you take your pictures very seriously all over the world. Think about what you want your fans to take out as soon as they land on the page. Think about what a brand manager will take as soon as they land on the page. It's very important that we want to see how you articulate yourself with what you're doing so that we know that you can actually end up selling our brand. It serves no good purpose that you're traveling. You do aspire to be a traveling sort of like influencer. But in your captions and what you're saying, we're not getting anything from it where it's quite believable and you can actually, sell. Because look, there's hotels that are looking at those timelines. There's airlines that are looking at those timelines. SA Tourism and various companies could be sitting there looking at those timelines. And what's important is that once the person lands there, what we look for is what is this person really trying to communicate and will they be able to deliver the message and the perspective that they have in what they're selling is actually very clear. So just a notch more seriously would generally help. Instead of just simply posting and it's a good luck and having a caption like making you think about it very carefully and what you're saying, provided your intentions are to, lure in certain brands within that specific category. Another point is, do not flood your timeline with ads. Granted, a lot of advertisers got you, they like you, they want to work with you. But the science is that just keep 75% of the content your content, and then 25% and below can be advertisers. So read carefully what your contract says around, how long can you keep the post? Is it a week? Is it a month? and try to manage that quite efficiently as you possibly can, because no brand wants to get into a page and all they see, it's like a pamphlet of some sort where all you do is advertising. It serves no justice for the advertisers. It equally serves no justice to your followers as well, which is something you already know. So look at that as well very carefully. And another point is, don't buy followers, guys. You'd be shocked how common that keeps on happening, and you cannot get away from it because we've got tools. A lot of digital strategists have tools, and digital companies have tools that we use. The first question I ask when influencers are brought into our space is just make sure that their followers are real people. There's nothing fake. They're not bots. I mean, I can get 50,000 followers tomorrow, right? But we know that a person that has that type of following, there's a lot of investment that they put in it. But there's a lot of people that are now cutting corners, getting bots and so forth, and brands can easily pick it up. And look, Instagram, Facebook will also have a lot of repercussions, in doing such activities. And you guys can research it, if you sort of like want. There's tools like IS, modes, and so forth. So we take it very carefully as well from an advertiser point of view. Now, from a do's point of view, it takes me straight to what you should do. Guys, engagement for us matters more than your following, right? Engagement rate is something that we calculate. It's something that you've heard about, you probably know. To us, it matters more on how many people are actually commenting, how many people are liking your stuff, how many people are sharing your stuff. I'd rather go for a person with the less following than the big following, provided that this one has good resonance and they're actually getting the engagement that actually makes a lot of sense and speak to what we're trying to do as a brand. So generally, there are some measurements that you can put into play in terms of trying to track what's good, what's sort of like not good. If you have 1,000 followers, I doubt there's anyone here with like less than 1,000, except my friend Prince. Just try to keep at least your engagement sitting at around about 7% or more, if you possibly can deliver on that. And then as it goes up, it's probably gonna start going down. 5,000, if you're sitting at about 5.2% engagement rate, it helps. And then if you get to 10,000, it drops to about just under 4%, 3.7% engagement rate. And then the big guys, 100,000 plus followers, even 1% engagement rate seems to be slightly fair. But again, don't go to rooms to sell. I've got X number of followers. The engagement is actually what tends to matter the most to a lot of us, because it does show the relevancy. And then look into your follower demographics, guys. Few people actually bother themselves to look into that detail. And I'll make an example. You may be a very good looking lady that has a very beautiful body and you have millions of followers, but might find that you're not that fitting maybe for a makeup brand, where naturally would think, oh, it makes perfect sense, but your followers maybe it's mostly men. And it ends up not serving any purpose to the brand that is a cosmetic brand or anything like that. So try to keep the balance and really look into what the demographics of your followers are. For those that don't know, demographics, it's things like gender, mostly male or female. What's the age group? Where do they mainly live? And so forth. What's approximately income brackets of some of those guys? So keep that in check and make sure that you are quite well aware of that. And advice is that you'd rather invest in a media kit. You'd be quite shocked, you meet an influencer and say, oh, great. Can you send me your media kit? I don't know how many people in this room have one, right? Because where it would help you, it'd be very clear in terms of what's the demographic of your followers, what are some of the brands that you work with, what worked with those brands, what have you learned, what was the success of some of those campaigns that you had, what's the resonance of your your post and so forth. So invest in something like that. It's really not expensive. I know expensive is relative, but do reinvest in things like media kits, because a person might be sitting with a PO and they just really want to throw 100,000 into somewhere, and you just lost it because you really don't have a full understanding in terms of your followers, who they are, and what the profile actually looks like. And then the second point in terms of views, guys, start organically. As brands, we like to work with people that have spoken about our brand or our category, because it generally seems to feel a bit more natural. And it doesn't have to be hashtags, but if we know that, we do talk about clothing, we do talk about sports, we do talk about various shows, the wife, etc. For me, if you tweeted and you've been very vocal about the wife, or the Queen, or the EPL, it's very easy to start working with that person, because it will start feeling natural when you start doing work with those specific individuals. And then, can't stress this enough. Second last point is boardroom etiquette, guys. Sure. And professionalism. You may ask, why does DSTV always use that guy? I won't mention who. Why? Yeah, why do they always get the deals? It's simple, because they're good to work with. The guys get the job done all the time, on time, they deliver, and we see the impact. It is that simple. And no strategist or no brand person wants to work with a person that's very difficult to work with. And if we've seen a formula work with somebody, we will go back to that specific person. So please, guys, and it's important to know yourself, right? If you're not that person, it's okay, don't go. Get a manager to go and speak on your behalf and manage that conversation. Not everybody is able to stand in a podium and talk, or sit in a boardroom and talk. And there's absolutely nothing wrong, because I can also tweet and be funny and have thousands of followers. But if you can't have boardroom etiquette, then leave it to somebody, that can represent you within the space. You'd be shocked. The stuff that we've seen, you'd really be shocked. And then my last point, guys, it's very simple. Do under promise and over deliver. Don't oversell yourself. Just under promise, over deliver. And it's the small things. You were meant to do it, 2 tweets or 2 posts. An extra one won't hurt. Just make sure that we know you did an extra one, what impact it had, and it's quite clear. So that's pretty much it from my end. But nonetheless, look, guys, we're in a space where, especially with COVID, brands are looking for a bit more innovative ways to reach customers and to drive a level of engagement. So thank you.
Yo, shout out to Wandi. Give it up for Wandi once again. Wandi Ceiling Kavinde. Yeah. Shout out to my family that's in the house. My wife's in the house. My daughter's in the house. I can hear my son is speaking somewhere. He's got his own events happening somewhere. So shout out to him. Yeah, because being married to me is a bit crazy. It's a bit crazy. But that's a story for another day. Because I'm always in my head. Yeah, nothing bad. So our next speaker is head of media, Tatiana Ndlovu. I mean, I know Tatiana from her days at YFM, I think she was there she is. I think she was a salesperson at YFM. Back then, Tatiana was always the one that was always overdressed, always like the makeup. Tatiana was just, these are YFM days, right? I'm exposing you, Tatiana. Tatiana was a salesperson. all the time. You couldn't approach her. She was like our age group, but she was always like sister, you know. And it's great to see her and strides from YFM, Mindshare, and shout out to her. She's going to talk about like creative brand relationship management, and she knows a lot about that because she was a salesperson. So you cannot be an influencer and you don't know how to sell yourself, even though you've been told to undersell. And also, Wandi talked about a media toolkit. I don't have that on my Slack page. If anyone has a media toolkit that we can use as an example, please upload it on the Slack page. Let's share. Let's not talk about these things and not drop them somewhere, right? Tatiana, are you going to go change? She's getting a sanitizer. Okay. Okay, you see Tatiana literally over-prepared. There's sanitizer here. Oh, shoot, my bad. Okay, shout out. Thanks, Tatiana, for coming through and making this happen. Head of media, please.
Hi, everyone. What an incredible way to spend the evening in the presence of Black talent, engaging in conversation and dialogue that I think is certainly going to advance the industry. Like Sia mentioned, my name is Tatiana Ndlovu. I currently look after the media services function for Nedbank Group. At an individual level, I'm passionate about education. I'm an educator. So specifically around the areas of brand, building strong brands, media channel planning, research, and advertising. You're gonna see me refer a lot to my phone today. It's because I made my notes on here. Please charge it to my age, not my readiness levels, because I promise you I did prepare for you guys. The topic of creative influencership and brand is a very close one to my heart, né? Not only as an emerging discipline, but because of the amount of money that we're starting to see go to the influencer line. The synergy, however, is always a point of contention. And I'll unpack the issues and give some considerations, certainly from a brand, from a consumer, as well as an influencer lens. When Sia approached me about this topic, it really got me thinking about meaningful relationships, a term that Zamo Masito, one of my favorite marketers, always references. When you think about meaningful relationships, it's what essentially binds society together. And it's on this premise that strong brands are built. Meaningful relationships are mutually beneficial. They are based on mutual respect, mutual trust, as well as mutual understanding. Content creators, as well as influencers, can draw from these principles to better shape this three-way relationship that they find themselves in. So let me define what this three-way relationship is. On the one side, you as an influencer or content creator are in a relationship with the consumer. And then on the other hand, you are in a relationship with the brand. So you are essentially a conduit between the consumer and the brand. And your role is to essentially summarize and simplify the brand's offering to the consumer in a way that leads to meaningful relationships, which ultimately impact brand growth as well as profitability matrix. So let me start then with the brand considerations, right? And because brand is at the heart and the beginning of this three-way relationship. When thinking about a brand, please consider maybe your favorite brand or the brand that you work for currently, but also yourself as a brand. By way of definition, a brand is a strategic asset that should be managed for current and future value. So every brand has some level of equity accrued to it by way of perceived quality, levels of awareness, brand loyalty, brand associations, etc. And at the heart of every brand is a set of goals and objectives that must be achieved. This is always a good starting point for any content creators and influencers wanting to work with marketing teams. So let's then chat considerations for content creators and influencers. Educate yourself as a start about the brand. Research the brand. Ask the brand what they are hoping to achieve, what their brand objectives are. It does sound very rudimentary, but you'll be very surprised by how many influencers don't go the extra mile of educating themselves about the brand that they're pitching work on. Ask them about their business opportunities. Ask them about their business problems. Who is the biggest source of growth? Where do they see a lot of their market or money is coming from? If they've done past influencer work, ask them to talk to you about it and show you what has worked and what hasn't worked previously. What you also want to do is continue to immerse yourself in the brand. Don't just be a brief taker. You have to absolutely position yourself as a strategic partner and a valuable one to the business, one that they believe they cannot do without. You have to absolutely be intentional. You have to be deliberate about who you partner with, because this also impacts how authentic you are. I think at the heart of content creation and influencership is authenticity. If you do not choose and become mindful of the kind of brands that you work for, consumers start to question your authenticity. I remember a couple of years ago when I used to work for a laundry brand and we were looking to use an influencer. There was one lady that was identified as a potential, but after looking at her repertoire of brands, we realized that she was overexposed. And the funny thing is, it was not even overexposure in the same category, but the fact that she was working with so many brands became a turn-off because consumers themselves were starting to call her out about her authenticity and her love for money and working with multiple brands. Consumers can't be fooled. They can see through these situations. There's also a perception in the markets that influencers don't necessarily utilize their uniqueness to their full advantage and benefit. It seems that the default go-to is a safe space, something that's been done before, even if it's not been done by you, but has been done by other influencers. So influencers are often than not very scared to trial and test new things. I'd like to put it out there and say, find your uniqueness, find your individuality, and use that as your USP. USP stands for unique selling proposition, and lead conversations with that USP. Please be accountable, please be dependable. We were just laughing earlier about a very well-known artist that we employed as an influencer a couple of years ago to work on a VOD product that we were launching. Said influencer was not dependable. We had to mere damn beg for him to post. He posted 5 days later. When he said that he would send reports, they came 2 months later. The kind of metrics that we were anticipating were not on there. I think it's very important for influencers to realize that your work forms part of a bigger strategy. And so we work on content calendars and content schedules. So if you do not post the day you're supposed to post, please realize that it has an impact on the rest of the campaign. To Wandi's point, learn boardroom etiquette. People do not want to work with influencers or content creators that they can't depend on. The other consideration is making sure that you're fit for channel. So absolutely alter each and every execution to suit the platform that you're on. What works on Twitter does not necessarily work on Instagram, etc. And whilst you may argue that you're potentially reaching a similar or the same audience on both platforms, please realize that people behave differently on Twitter as they would on Facebook, Instagram, the likes. So make sure that you are fit for channel. And lastly, I touched on it a bit, measurability metrics are important. You know, we're living in an era where a lot of companies now have to justify return on marketing investment. They're looking to sell at every turn. So if you don't differentiate yourself via measurability measures as an influencer, you will not be taken seriously. I'm not going to stand here and pretend as if we brand custodians or brand owners are innocent, because we are not innocent. We also play a role in the erosion of influencership. One of the very few things I've noticed, and I dare you to think about your organization as I say this, how many companies or how many corporates have an influencer framework in place? This influencer framework is essentially a blueprint that acts as a vetting criteria or strict guardrails that determine how you engage and who you engage with. Brands don't approach influencer work from a strategic perspective. They always approach influencer work from a campaign level. So it becomes very difficult to build meaningful long-term relationships with influencer when you are very reactive, as opposed to being mindful about how you are planning for influencership to form part of your marketing strategies. Brand custodians and brand owners also don't take the time to research trends that could potentially influence who they partner with. I find that a lot of the time we are very much obsessed with reach than we are with resonance and relevance. So we assume because X has 5 million followers, she must be a better option than the influencer with 200,000 followers. You have to continuously ask yourself, what are you looking at? Are you looking at absolute numbers, or are you looking at people with the propensity to buy what you're selling? There's a lady on Twitter, I think a week ago, Kay Yams, who was trending because of that dawn lotion that she's discovered that helps or conceals stretch marks. Whilst she was not contracted as an influencer, I think what I love about her story is it shows what a nano-influencer is able to do, and also the authenticity in which she told the story about that lotion elevated the brands to proportions that they were not expecting. I read somewhere that some people even went to Pep, and when they got there, the Dawn lotion was sold out. I wonder if we can fully attribute that to her, but she sparked conversation nonetheless. The one thing that I think brand custodians also need to focus on is the usage of data to inform creative. So whether you do this via social listening tools or A/B testing of content in creative, I think data-led creative should be at the forefront. The other thing that I think brand custodians ought to be doing is to be brave. They need to apply the principles of design thinking that say, fail fast, but learn fast as well. Creativity is at the center of strong brands. And that is essentially the ribbon that ties this three-way relationship together. There's a Nielsen report that was released 2-3 years ago that suggests that up to 80% of a brand's return on marketing investment is a result of creative and content strategies. Brand custodians need to stop wanting the need of being controlling and prescriptive in how the message of the influencer or content creator is constructed. I've read a few posts on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and they read like they were written by the brand manager and not necessarily the influencer themselves. So it's very easy to see that the brand custodian in this instance had a lot of control issues, and they did not want to give up creative autonomy to the influencer. I'm speaking to my fellow brand custodians on this point. Stop the control issues. Allow the influencer to speak in a language that their audience can identify with. In closing, the consumer landscape has changed considerably in the last 10 years or so. Consumers have become extremely savvy, and thanks to social media, they've been given a voice. And this voice, trust you me, resounds in a lot of corporate boardrooms. Consumers express themselves, they express their dissatisfaction, but what I do love is that they equally clap for a job well done. They cannot be fooled. They know what they want, they know how they want it, and they know how they want brands to engage with them. This makes it extra harder to engage with consumers. Additionally, they are bombarded with constant messages the whole day. There's always someone trying to advertise to them. There's always someone trying to get them to read some piece of content. there's always someone trying to sell them one thing or the other. In an article by Chief Marketer, 75% of consumers confirms that they will resent a brand if they are bombarded by marketing messages. So use influencership and content creation in a strategic manner that does not come across as contrived, but also does not make the consumer feel like they are being bombarded. So in closing with this understanding, brand custodians, content creators, and influencers ought to be a lot more considered and deliberate about their strategies in fostering meaningful brand to customer relationships. I hope you found the considerations and the content useful. Thank you for listening and thank you for your time.
I think Tatiana literally sent me a message last night trying to go. So, do you have a screen for slides? I'm like, no, Tatiana, like, don't, you know? But shout out to her. But you could see that like, she's been reading things forever, selling things to people. Our next speaker, and just by the way, you know, maybe let me also just say, just as an FYI, you know, some of the people that are here, the brands that they represent, you know, I mean, I wasn't going to talk about money, but like Wandi be out here saying, yeah, you know, it's 100 million, we look over 100 millions, you know, this guy out here at 9 o'clock at night telling us that they're looking over 100 million and all that stuff. But to give you context, though, we've got that caliber of people tonight in the building, people looking over brands. Like we've got people from Tatiana's from Nedbank, we've got people from Standard Bank, you know, they all getting along tonight because, you know, it ain't a fight, you know, we got we got people from Diageo, we got people from Hennessy. Just as a side note, I think the only other rapper that's had a longer relationship with Hennessy is probably Nas, and he's got more money. But Hennessy been rolling with me ever since I was a rapper. You know, they've been taking places, and as a business, they've been supporting me. So we got people from RGBC, we got people from Stella Artois. Shout out to AB and Bev also here in the building. We got people from Coca-Cola. Hey, we got people from Drip. You know what I mean? You know, we gotta see each other. We got to see each other. That's what we're doing tonight. You know, we got to see each other and be on the same level. You know, we got people look over the Heineken accounts, you know. So, you know, we all here in the house, yo. So just etiquette, you know. Thanks for coming through. Our next speaker is from Diageo. She looks over, she's brand manager. She looks over the African. Let me just read it right. Let me not try act like I know. Yeah. Deshnie Govender, Johnny Walker, brand manager. She looks in key markets in Africa. My relationship with Deshnie, yo, I mean, Deshnie is a hustler. So I know her from her hustling days. So she's here tonight to talk about like just Africa and her experiences. Deshnie, I don't know where you at. Oh, you out hustles me. You like, all right, we gotta sanitize. But I just, and I said Diageo, isn't Diageo under Johnny Walker? I said Diageo, you know, I wasn't gonna name every RGBC brand, but you know, I had to name Hennessy because Hennessy been, you know. Yeah, you ready? Walker. John Walker Gate. Come open the gates. Johnny Walker, brand manager, Deshnie, all the way from Durban, made it to Joburg. Now she's brand manager in Africa. John, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear me? Johnny, Bully Gate.
think what sins I've committed to go last, you know? Because don't I answer all your emails? Anyway, guys, I swear I'm trying not to bore you. I sat there for like an hour talking to PH. Thank you for the Amapiano hookup. But I'm hoping that today at least I can inspire you, motivate you, and of course, you know, because I know people are walking around with their pitches. So, you know, tonight's the night. You need to definitely get your pitch out there. So by means of an intro, you know, I hate intros. I don't know why my government name is being said. Everyone knows me as that Desh. Yeah, and officially I'm a Johnny Walker brand manager across partner and emerging markets. So for a lot of you guys, that's not South Africa. Shout out to the South African team. I cover Congo, DRC, Gabon, Mozambique, Ivory Coast, Angola. Really, really special to be able to work across these emerging markets in Africa. So, you know, when Sia called me up, he was like, listen, I need you to be available at this date and I need you to speak about this. And he had the world's shortest brief. It was even shorter than a TikTok. Africa Insights. And I don't know how am I supposed to do justice to this topic, but you know, I was standing on the side and I thought, let me tweak it. So I'm not going to be dramatic and squash this, but I do think I want to change a bit of it because I can sense a lot of the questions that you guys have been asking purely by circulating the room. So the first thing, right, I think it's not lost on me in that we have very specific audiences here. We've got, I don't know where they're sitting. We've got, I think in the middle, we've got the corporate guys, right? The guys that we think that have the bags to give out. Amazing brands, though, jokes aside. And I think anyone working on the brand side knows it is absolutely difficult to be able to manage a P&L, to be able to manage your brand visibility and across maybe a few markets. So to the brand guys, I see you, much respect. And hopefully some of the stuff I will share will inspire you. Then we've got the guys, and I hope they make a noise, right? The guys that work at agency, the creative agencies, the creative directors, PR agencies, the influencer managers. And I have the most respect for these guys because I've been agency side probably for 80% of my life. And that is why I'll never click on your Slack link, because if you work at agency, you know what Slack means. But basically, these guys are the ones that are the engine behind the brands. They really help get it out there. The Luries, you know, the Mamas, all of the awards and the creative that you see, yeah, it's the guys from the agency. And then you get the special sets. I can see some of the guys here out of field, basically influence, right? I didn't say the word influencers because I particularly don't prescribe to that term, but I think influence, whether you're a DJ, you're a rapper, you're a celebrity, you're an actress, if you have something to share with the world, you're definitely influencing it. So in the sections that I'm going to talk about, I'm talking to the brand guys, I'm talking to the agencies, and I'm talking to the influencers. The first thing, right, I'm probably in this role for less than a year. There are so many myths about Africa. I think people think two main things, right? Number one, they think, it's a lack of growth opportunity. That's false. And secondly, they think that everyone is struggling out there. Like, I'm trying to find a connection somewhere. And I also want to dispel that myth. I have a few stats for you, and this is as boring as my speech is going to get. 110 million. That's the amount of people that are literally in Ethiopia. DRC, 89 million. Trends that we're seeing is urbanization. If you think about this, by 2025, 200 million Africans are going to move more into the urban cities. So this is not just a stat for shits and giggles, right? Am I allowed to say that? Because what I'm trying to say is that this is opportunity. And so us as South Africans, and I call myself out for this as well, we need to be open. We need to be open to networking. We need to be open to the other markets, not just the emerging markets. And we really need to show up as one, as cheesy as it sounds, but this is not being done. If we look at Spotify, we all got that release, right? Spotify announced that they're opening up sub-Saharan. I think it was about 10 more countries. That's cool, but AudioMax's been doing it, and they've been doing it for a longer time. Now, I'm not here to kind of, hate on Spotify. What I'm trying to say is when someone's new to markets, that's an opportunity to show you that there's a gap in the markets. That means there's demand. So again, if you are in the music and I'm talking about the influencers, you need to start asking yourself, outside of comfy South Africa, how are you getting your music actually resonance? Because Tatiana mentioned this, reach is important, right? But what about resonance? Anybody can get an eyeball, but are you actually making people feel something about your content? And if you think about Rwanda, I mean, didn't we just say now that Rwanda is going to be the Silicon Valley of Africa? So this little preamble is to say, let's just squash the kind of perceptions that we have about the rest of Africa. I actually sat in a meeting the other day and someone said to me, oh yeah, they're from Africa. And I'm like, girl, where are you from? So we need to correct ourselves. Now I'm going to go into two bits before we get to the stuff, the juicy bits, that's going to help you, right? Brand learnings. And my heart is so full because I actually bumped into my former team here. Shout out to the guys that worked in Budweiser, because at the end of the day, I've got 3 learnings of working on a brand, and I'm hoping that I can share this with you. The thing is, it's not about standing up here and saying, yeah, I worked on that brand and this is what I learned. I believe that you have to have a personal attachment to something. If you can share our failures and our wins, then you're going to remember that and you're going to obviously try it yourself. The first one is Ciroc. It's a brand that is near and dear to my heart. It is part of the Diageo portfolio. A few years ago, we did a collaboration with Moschino. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It was really, really impactful. But what many people don't know is that Ciroc, obviously being a global brand, there is the US market and then there's the rest of the world. When we needed to launch for the rest of the world, it was really important that we had resonance in the local markets. So when we launched in Nigeria and South Africa, it wasn't about spray and play. Moschino is here, that's what's up. It was about using the right channels and the right influence. So I'm hoping that the influencers here today understand that you're more than just a face that we're using to reach. We actually will sit down with you. We will co-create. We will understand what is the best route to market. Something interesting also happened with that partnership. That unlocked, and I'm not saying we were responsible for it, but you started seeing a lot of agnostic brands now collaborate. I mean, we see Gucci and North Face. I saw a few bucket hats out here. We see Gucci and Balenciaga. But these challenger brands are coming together. And that back then, that was the early days of us starting to say we need to collaborate. So why am I telling you this? So what? I did a campaign that was amazing. The goal of what I'm trying to say here, the so what, is about hyper-localization. So many times I hear about a DJ working on a song and they're like, man, I don't know, I'm going to call up this person. We're going to get onto TikTok. It's going to trend. My question is, what are you doing to actually get resonance in Zambia, in Mozambique, in Nigeria, other than calling up your plug and saying, yo, I need to get the reach? Are you spending time in market? Because it's all about putting respect on their name. The second brand, and here are the guys that worked on this, shout out to you, is Budweiser. When we worked on Budweiser, there was a particular campaign, gonna narrow this down, but basically it was the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl means many things to many people. I can tell you as an Indian girl working in Durban, right? It didn't mean much to me growing up, but I needed to find a way with our team to make it resonance, right? And along the way of the campaign, essentially what we did is we had different markets and we sent influencers over. One particular guy, and I encourage you to follow him, is Idris Sultan. He has, wait for it, 5 million followers on Instagram. Basically, he has Tanzania on lock. And when we sent him, we didn't give him an in-depth brief. We said to him, we trust you. We want you to go to that market, experience the campaign through your eyes. Now, I'm not going to go through the campaign details because, again, that's not the so what. When he came back, individually as a team, we sat with him and we wanted to understand what does it feel like for him to go to Miami as well as to the Super Bowl and experience that. So to the brand guys that are sitting in the middle, may I please ask that when we start working with influencers or we re-engage them, when the deal is done, can we not close the door? Can we continue those conversations and ensure that they have that seat at the table, not just for the campaign? Because those insights that you can extract, you can't even pay money for it. It is literally unfiltered. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I will shout out my brand, is Johnny Walker. Most recently, we just launched our Keep Walking campaign. For the guys, I am South African, so I'm going to say it like proudly. For the guys in South Africa, you've seen the TVC, Nasty C, Karabo Poppy, Richim Nisi, and then of course we unlocked Burner Boy. But again, I've got a so what for you guys. You see, with the campaign, it's a bit different because this is a Pan-Africa campaign. And while the campaign is still going, what I can share with you is there's some beautiful magic in markets coming together. Now, I say terms like this, markets, it means country, because I think people don't say the shit, right? People say fancy corporate words, but nobody explains it. So when countries come together and work on campaigns like this, you can see that it's more than just reach and resonance. We're actually shifting the dial. So specifically for my market with Zambia, or one of my markets, we had signed up Cleo Ice Cream. She's, for a long time, she's hustled on her own. right? She has been on her own trying to release music. And so we did a partnership with Def Jam that afforded her a platform and a deal so that she could release singles, not only just locally, but globally. Now, of course, at the end of the day, people could say, yeah, that's great. You know, you signed Cleo and that's amazing for Johnny Walker. But it's the undercurrent. It's about the fact that, again, you as brand, more than just saying I need to get my campaign reach and I want to get to a PR agency and link someone, how can you actually build meaningful partnerships? Even the association that we have with Burna Boy, this means all markets across Francophone is now going to benefit from the stories that we tell. So please, guys, collaboration is so, so important. Now to the last bit. And you know, in corporate, we have this thing, and I say corporate, just the other day I was in the agency, so I'm still here. But basically, one of the terms that I get taught a lot is around the so effing what, okay? Because basically, it's like, yeah, you know, there's a lot of insights. Anybody can come here and print data, and I can sit and just basically tell you, well, what are you going to extract out of it? So there's three things I want to share. Your feed needs to feed you, okay? Now, I'm no lyricist, but I like that term. I want to coin it. And what I mean by that is that all of us on Instagram, like literally I can see all the notifications, but ask yourself, when last did you actually start following someone outside your comfort zone? You know, because at the end of the day, we just keep our world here, and then maybe it's following highlights in the US or in the UK. But push yourself. Ethiopia, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, even. Follow guys from there in whatever vertical that inspires you. And let me tell you, when you refresh in a few weeks, because we all hate the Instagram algorithm, you're going to feel like a different person. It sounds cheesy, but it's the truth. When I started this role, probably like less than a year ago, I just strategically followed a lot of artists, a lot of creatives, a lot of photographers from these markets. And I can tell you that has given them an opportunity now to be working with brands. So don't ever just forget Instagram is just there for, you know, just networking on a surface level. You can go deeper than that. The second thing, and I tested this joke out on PH, he laughed, so I hope that you'll laugh too. Imagine you have R1 million in your bank account. I don't know, not like Rick Ross, you wouldn't keep it in your check account, right? You've got R1 million, you're going to invest it, you're going to grow it, you probably will spend it a bit, right? So to the guys that are verified on Instagram, why are you carrying on like it means nothing? Firstly, for everybody that's phoned me, and for the media guys, you know this, asking me to verify them, it's a hard ask. Like, we don't just have Mark Zuckerberg in our back pocket, right? So when you guys get verified, please can I ask that you do something with it? So here's some tips, right? You know, if you verified, it is easy to connect with someone because those mentions go right at the top. So ask yourself, if you are dropping a single, working on a project, maybe you're visiting a particular region, reach out. When did we stop being friendly? Why are we all here for the attitude and the poses? So again, if you get that luxury of being there at a certain level, use that blue tick very, very carefully. Because let me tell you, can unlock growth. I can't say their names, but a few people test out these strategies. And when they visit those particular regions, they were just breaking bread. Because remember, as much as we want to go global, a lot of the guys global are looking at Africa and saying that we're international. It's a two-way street. And then lastly, data. I mean, we've all heard this term somewhere on Pinterest, right? Data is like more precious than oil. I'm not going to speak about that. But what I am going to talk about is content. Some may call it a publisher mindset. Some may say owned versus earned. But basically what I'm trying to say is that your content is yours. And you need to think about owned platforms versus earned. What will happen if Instagram closes tomorrow? What would you do with your verification tick and all that content? Think about an offline platform. It could be like events that you're hosting and legally the data that you're getting. It could be a newsletter. It could be your street teams. It could be anything. But you really need to start thinking about the data. And now Sia is probably thinking, well, what the hell has this to do with African Insights? A lot of the markets that I'm working with, this is what's happening. Especially in Cote d'Ivoire. Ivory Coast is a key market for me for Johnny Walker. And I can tell you there are so many guys on the ground that are literally working with this model. So here in South Africa, we have no excuse. So lastly, I want to end off with some fluffy stuff. You know, you just have that driving ambition to want to know more and learn more and fail. I guess that it's so easy when you have a level of success. And I say this more on the influence side. And being on the brand side, I can say it's easy too. When you have big brands, I'm not going to call out brands. I don't want people to not take my calls. But when you have big brands that we know, love, wear, drink, It's not that hard to market it. Yes, it's tough, right? There's work to be done, but you have that kind of, allowance because people have grown up with that brand. So I want you to constantly feel, what would it be like if no one knows you in the room? What would it be like if this was an absolutely brand new brand? And then you need to reach Africa. So I hope this inspires you. I'm going to sneak in one little tip. A lot of people have been asking about, yeah, we've got like brand managers here, but like, how do I pitch? Do I take out a USB? Guys, do you know as of yesterday, Instagram has the same number of followers or kind of users as LinkedIn? Download the LinkedIn app. We are waiting for you. Reach out to us, share our content, and literally inbox us. LinkedIn is the one that's going to put you on. So thank you, and thank you for the last slot. Thank you.
Shout out to Deshnie, Governor Hustler, y'all. I don't know what she was selling, but she sold it, y'all. That's all I know. Out here, you know. I think that like this, you raised a very important point. Like I said, you asking yourself how to pitch, but just have a conversation, you know, and then you can continue there with the LinkedIn, as they saying, you know. It's just that easy. But I don't know. Is there anyone else that needs to have a speech now? I just want to see if there's anyone else that needs to have a speech. Sorry, my bad. Chances are it's actually me. Yeah, I got it right. Selemina. So guys, I want to just start this by saying this, you know, I mean, damn. Okay, cool. Let me go. I've also written a speech, obviously, you know, and I prepared for you guys too. So please don't blame it on my unpreparedness. Blame it on my age. I know I look like I'm a teenager. It's all good. So let me start like this. If someone told you that words can influence societies for generations, and the powers that be labeled me previously disadvantaged, and I own that, that means my children would be kids of a previously disadvantaged dad, and my grandchildren would have a previously disadvantaged grandpa. Should my lineage think that the powers that be have to enable my advantage, or alternatively, the powers that be were previously disadvantaged because they failed to see the advantage that me and my community have? And I'm speaking about everybody here today, right? Why should I own previously disadvantaged when I was born with all the advantages that every healthy human being has? It's because even in the redemption of the powers that be, they want to tell me and my generation that comes after me who I am and who they are according to them. So today I am previously disadvantaged. I fill a scorecard. And the only way I'll be able to be advantaged is through them. Tonight, I literally wanted to let you guys know that, like, yeah, I've always been advantaged, but it's what you put in your mind that makes you feel like you're previously disadvantaged. We've had a lot of theory that's talked about social, that's talked about the detail of this social. And I hope y'all guys got the notes, but don't worry, we're recording. You know, y'all can go back and listen. Because you got to now listen at everything at the context of the advantage that you have. So tonight is an evening I'd like to call the awareness of this generation's perfect timing. And when I talk about time, I want to go back in time. In 2006, my friend Sugar Smacks and I were booking artists from South Africa and other African countries for brands. At the time, the key players that made money in the marketing value chain were creative, sponsorship, PR, and media buying agencies. I know ain't a damn thing changed, but here's the difference. The companies were mostly owned by global agencies or ran by white folks, and their key suppliers were other white companies. So imagine this. I mean, everything that Wandi has said, imagine a media agency who can easily turn $1 billion based on their clients. Most of the money would be directed to white-owned suppliers. It wouldn't come down to what you guys are seeing now as influencers, you know. It's as little as you think it is, it wouldn't even come there, right? These white-owned supplies, their own billboards, their own billboard sites, magazine networks, privately owned radio stations, malls, broadcasters, nothing that a typical hardworking black person can say they own unless they're politically connected. So that means 98% of black South Africans have no chance. And I'm not speaking about a thing I'm imagining. I was there. I saw it. So now let's fast forward to now. For the first time, we have the data to show that we make media platforms relevant. I know y'all guys are saying we're influencers. No. We make media platforms relevant. I mean, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Music, Spotify, TikTok. Without us, these platforms have no significance. I mean, go ask Snapchat. How many of y'all are on Snapchat? I'm just saying. 20 years ago, if you are creative, all this data, all the data that you guys are able to access will be held by a global or local institution, and they determine your fate, and we'd never know our value or exactly what we bring to the table. Today, the timing is so perfect because you can click on insights and know what you're bringing to the table. It's like, boom, so many impressions, boom, you know? Even though it's still challenging in corporate for people of color, regardless of their title, they're also in a better place than it was 16 years ago. In fact, there were not even some of the positions that some black folks are in corporate 16 years ago. And if they were, it was like, yo, that guy literally was on a magazine cover or something. But I ain't seen Wandi on a magazine cover yet. I've seen you in a magazine cover with other guys. There's someone in corporate waking up first and sleeping last to get their job done. And part of that is probably proving why a strategy needs to be pro a certain audience and suppliers. Tatiana earlier on was talking about what you guys need to do as creatives. But I don't think what they're saying is all the time that you are in a room, and Wandi also said when you guys are in a room, that means they've considered you. All the time when they are in a room, when any one of us as a creative are in a room, a corporate room, they have probably sold us for months and months, and even if the data is right there. All the time that happens. So they don't literally tell you that, like, whenever we as creatives drop the ball, them as black people in those positions that, like, you know, someone else thinks they should be in those positions are literally in a shaky position, right? So those creatives also that create content, or artists like, say, Kabza and Maphorisa, who've been in the top 100 for almost the whole of 2021. To be in the top 100 for almost the whole of 2021, even as a musician, behind that is commitment. Both these folks in the creative world and in the corporate world, both these folks show a sense of hunger. Both these folks probably resonate with the same community. Both these folks want to build audiences and do what they love. You know, you might love like creating content. Someone else loves like counting your impressions, you know, and they want to make a living out of it and they want respect. I mean, I think all of us, and it's not even a money thing, all of us want respect. You don't want to tell me that I'm just like an influencer or I'm just like the corporate, whatever. We all want respect. And no one is going to give us respect until we respect ourselves first. No matter where you are, whether you're in the corporate or whether you're an influencer. Trust me. I mean, Jared just literally broke it down for y'all because, you know, clearly he's seen it. We don't respect each other, so why should they respect us? You know? So I figured out that, you know, we all have the same ambitions, but there's this unsaid wall where we are plotting against each other when we all get on our respective stage, where some perform for fans, others perform for brands. Instead, we need to be plotting to organize ourselves by welcoming each other in our worlds. I mean, tonight was just an example of just organizing ourselves, you know? I know I sent y'all Slack links that like some of y'all have not used Slack before, but when I read Slack, they say organize somewhere, you know? So I just hope that we'd be organized, you know? Sorry for the challenges using the Slack for y'all that don't use it, you know? But the thing is that we need to organize. If we organize ourselves, I'm not going to come with solutions. I'm just coming with starts. If we organize ourselves, the story of our narrative will be told when we create stronger bonds with each other by being tolerant and understanding our objectives. Tonight is powerful because there are global companies, and you got to listen to this. There are global companies with good intent who create Black Creators Month, Strong Black Lead, Black Owned Friday. But in all honesty, Black power comes when we give each other that power. That platform can say they're black this, but if we are not giving each other that power, where is the power? How could a person who's not your color tell you that you are powerful? That means you don't even know you're powerful. I would have loved to invite so many creatives in the arts and corporate so I can give them their power tonight through acknowledgement, because when we receive it from anyone else, it's either filtered, limited, or it has a corporate motive. And I must say, like I said earlier on, tonight is self-funded, but I do need to shout out my sponsors who took my call last minute to support the initiative. But I would have loved for someone else to pay for this, to be quite frank. But if I waited for someone else, I don't know if this opportunity would have come as unfiltered as it is tonight. Hence, I want to go back to the fact that you disempower people by making them believe that power comes from everywhere else except themselves. So I just want to say that again. You disempower people by making them believe that power comes from everywhere else except themselves. It came here and they're like, yo, this event is I'm like, who's going to do this for us? Who's going to bring us in a room like this? Who's going to do this for us? Who? So we got to empower ourselves. We got to see ourselves first, So it's okay. It's the way that God planned it. I have to literally pay today because, put your money where your mouth is, right? This is how far we want to go to get this out. We need to organize ourselves because we are excellent by default. We don't want to do it to appease white companies or white folks, but we understand they knowledge, infrastructure, and money that has bought us things like Jordans, Yeezys, Ivy Park, even Duce needed their distribution. So don't get it twisted. You might see all these things, but there's a bigger system working behind them, and it's just wrapped in the thing that the person that you think that's the key person. And these are American examples, of course, but the data shows how influential we already are. Des just gave you someone's followers, 5 million followers in Tanzania. The data's there. So what's in the way from us having an impact? I think, and I stand to be corrected, I think we have a one-man show syndrome, both creatives in corporate and content. One man's influence turns to impact and longevity when we become a collective. We're small today. Today we're a small number, right? But not tomorrow. Hypothetically, a collective takes a drip, a batu, a Bhutan, you name it. A collective wears it with pride everywhere in Africa. And that creates impact. Collective equals impact. And then you find a global brand like a Diageo, a Coca-Cola, AB and Bev, Bacardi, Puma. They see that collective impact and they say, yo, we see you guys in our key markets. How do we use our infrastructure, i.e. our billboards, our doors, our networks? That's the story of an Ivy Park. That's a story of a Fenty. It's basically like that. But we short-circuiting each other because we're so short-sighted, And we can't even see those things happening. We need to understand our power and the power of corporate and what this marriage looks like to Africa and the world. Right now, we all say, Africa to the world, like we're going to get there without the people who run the world. There ain't a bunch of Africans in the that thing they do in the Alps there. So you cannot say Africa to the world as if you don't need alliances. You cannot say Africa to the world without yourself organizing yourselves, because you can be Africa to the world, but guess what? Someone else is going to own that, and it won't be you, and it won't be one of us. So we need to organize ourselves to be able to sit around those tables, to take Africa to the world with our terms, with us owning the IP. Because tonight, a lot of you here are always sold to a client as an engagement rate. You sold, that's why, y'all made tonight like, oh, I never knew you. Because, you've been sold as an engagement rate, you've been sold as an impression, and the client is sold as a bag. Y'all dig? So the client is a bag, you are an impression, and you are an engagement rate. Don't you see that there's a fundamental problem with that? Because it's impossible to have a bigger picture of the world if that's all we see about each other. The impression, engagement rate, and the bag. We both guilty. We both guilty for short-circuiting and being short-sighted with the way we think. The corporate black creative is still forced to consistently prove why they're pitching a content or music creative, regardless of all the data that's out there. They tasked to prove why a black supplier or creator is best for the job versus an existing legacy supplier. As content and music creators, we need to meet them halfway and understand what they go through. Similarly, they also need to meet us halfway. And they need to generally understand what we do as creators. They generally need to understand that we love to create for our audiences. We want the brand to know what our interests are, and we want them to feel, we don't want to feel like it's a one-way stream, right? In fact, creatives have a greater endearment to their followers, and all they want is for brands to respect that and understand it. That word respect came back. Respect. Respect. I was about to do Aretha Franklin, but respect, y'all. It's just respect. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what you're sitting on. I don't care how cool you are. Everything comes down to respect. We need to consciously revisit our equity tonight, because when we revisit our equity, that's when we start respecting that. Oh, I respect the work that you put in. Oh, I respect the work that you put in. If you look at all the trends on social media and see who's the source of most of them, if you look at the top 100 streaming songs on platforms and see who's on the list, I want you to ask yourself, who are those people who are making those trends in South Africa, as far as I know, or even in the streaming platforms? Who are the people who've got the most songs in the top 100 streaming platforms? I don't know. Who? Yeah. 80. Okay, let me give you the math. 80% of the top 100 songs are literally like kids who come from a township somehow, some way. Kids who come from a ghetto somehow, some way. 80% of even some of the trends on social media are kids who literally come from places where they've been told they are not good enough. Our ownership in the things that we consume every day is next to nothing. We don't own these fancy brands that we like wearing, that we like posting, that we like, showing off with. But what we do own is our creativity. And we need to take this creativity and take it through the partnerships that we have. The equity of today's sacrifice for a future of more black ownership, that's what we need to do, because we've got that equity. We need the equity of a story we want to tell about ourselves to the world, because today, when white economy speaks in the world, they claim they represent you. Today's white economy, when they speak in the world, they claim that they represent you. You know why? Because you short-circuit each other. Because you don't buy into yourselves. Because you don't believe it if it's from us, right? Today we use the word influential because that's an individual. When I use the word black influence, that's impactful and powerful, and it's a collective. Black excellence is a collective, but we only applaud black excellent. You be liking one black excellent, but black excellence is a community. We far from black excellence. One guy could be doing well. Okay, that black guy is doing well, but we far from black excellence because our communities and the circles that we have are not moving forward. So let's stop fooling ourselves with these black excellence hashtags. Stop lying. They sold the minerals, but owning our culture is the new gold. the new platinum, because that allows you to leverage any other byproduct. Let's not allow the window to close, because if it closes, another generation will pick it up, but it will be harder because they're going to go up against every other race that thrived while we were sleeping. And I literally want to talk about the byproduct. If you own your culture, simple example, if you own what you create, you got some of the biggest artists. If Rihanna is one of the biggest artists, whatever the case be, the byproduct is Fenty. That's where the money is. It's not in the creation. So if you can control what you create, then there's the byproduct. That's what I'm saying. We're so short-sighted. We literally excited about the money during the creative money. We haven't even gotten to the byproduct level, you know? And the byproduct level, when we talk Africa to the world, when you say Africa to the world, that's a byproduct of the product, right? You know, Chuck D or Public Enemy talk about fear of the black planet. That's not a world where we terrorizing white people, especially those that feel that way. But it's a place where we are organized, building each other, negotiating the usage of our creative rights ourselves. Yeah. I can guarantee you the negotiation of the bulk of the biggest Amapiano songs right now is not even owned by black companies. And Amapiano it's been around for a while, but as a popping genre, literally, I can guarantee you right now, if you want anything from some of the big, you're not going to speak. The license is not owned by black people. And I don't know if you guys have seen this Super Bowl advert with Dre, Snoop, Eminem, and Kendrick Lamar and Mary J. Blige. In South Africa, you cannot have a superstar advert like that. Not because the money's not there, as Wandi has confirmed it's there, but it's because of who owns the right for each song in the advert. I want to use an example. I know some brothers who call themselves brothers, artists. They literally have a song that a brand wanted to use. But because they could not be organized and agree on the shareholding of the song, the deal went disappeared. A couple of millions of usage. Because the guys were not organized. Now, whoever in that boardroom said this is the song that we need to go to, because I bet you it's someone from the culture, he went back there like this. I don't know. Because we're not organized, right? And these guys, I think they probably even still friends. Y'all literally like taking bags from each other and still laughing with each other like it's all good. That's whack. I don't know. I'm just saying, y'all trying to keep it real so much that you're gonna hurt each other. That's the problem. Y'all keep trying to keep it real so much you're gonna hurt each other, and y'all not building the businesses that you are. It's so easy to be a business today. Just be yourself, and people like you. Build your business of yourself, right? So the fear of the black planet is when we know what to do with our gifts as a collective. When we know how to sit around the table with those interested in working with us, our allies. I just hope the timing is perfect. And like I said earlier on, as a baby step, we've kind of built this platform where you can register, you can chat, you can talk to whoever you want to talk to. I literally did it on purpose, where I've got like creatives and I've got like in the corporate and just general influencer creatives, where you guys can literally really engage. I mean, what I'm trying to say, we talked about it earlier on. Wandi talked about this earlier on. Don't lose your shit and because your agency or the brand or you haven't gotten paid, don't lose your shit on social media and do all the shit that you're going to do. Like, speak to somebody. And that's another thing. Who do the creatives speak to when they genuinely have a fucking problem as influencers? Where do they speak to? If we don't create that central place to kind of go, I ain't trying to be the guy, I'm just saying, it's my little thing. There's a Slack page, bro. Just go send a message there. I'm telling you, even if it's someone we don't know, we're going to find out. But don't be out there blasting. Don't be out there being mad, trying to show that you are this. Relax, bro. We are one. You are not hurting the brand. You're hurting the guy that probably sold you or the girl that probably sold you inside. That's what you're doing. And what that does is that your circle literally won't get the same opportunity, because not only will they stay away from you, they're going to stay away from the people that are around you also. So I encourage everyone in this room to use this page as a space to share knowledge and not spam. It's a closed group and it's not open to anyone. If it grows, it'll be people that are working in this space. I've also deliberately chosen this house, not because I can afford it. I've got a scholar waiting for me. I don't know if I want to wake up tomorrow morning, but it's rough. But I've literally chosen this house because you can walk in the house and you guys can talk. You're going to have music playing right now. But the point is that I've chosen the house so it's easy. Y'all could just communicate. Walk in the house, you see somebody, if it's too loud, go in the house, connect, start talking, you know? Let's start building. I know it's small. But I've never seen anything like this for us, by us. So I'm hoping that it grows bigger. I'm hoping that we build on the lessons inside that page and we help each other, because it is really about us and we got to get this narrative out to the world. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope tonight was useful. I hope tonight there's something that you took out from it. And we look forward to seeing you guys, working with you guys, growing together and connecting as a network. But most importantly, we look forward to organizing. Let's build each other, right? And that's all from me tonight. And by the way, this is not a pro-black situation. This is just black people trying to organize ourselves, because we know we're not the only people in the room or in the world. You know, we know we're not the only people in the room or in the world, but we want to have that impact in the world and we want to own it. You know what I mean? Yo, I'm done. All right, cool. So we're gonna have a network session now. We're gonna play some music. I hear Focus running late, but Uncle Waffles is also on her way. So, but what you can do, you could literally start networking. We're gonna play music. You can drink, you can eat. It's that time, yo. Be easy. Shout out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play it up in a brand new season of Smirnoff Games Night. This is the ultimate at-home games night experience. This season, we brought out the star. Catch Costa Kitch, Phantom Steve.
They cheated.
Harley Ray.
Costa and Phantom were playing very dodgy games.
Oscar Mbo. Musa Keys.
Fast and the Furious.
Yes, sir. Don Design.
Yo, you guys are wasting our time.
DJ Doo-Wop. Money Badu. DJ Smokes.
Oh, I hate you.
Okay Wasabi. Sasha Langa.
Malu Pagami
Show them.
Tando Luetu.
This one's gonna be tricky for you.
We're the who's who of music, fashion, and culture. Play it up for the ultimate bragging rights. Follow @Smirnoff SA and catch it all on Slicker on Live to see who will come out on top.
Broadcast live.
Kuyixhwanele nyoka sikhuluma ngempilo umuntu aphuma kuyona, sikhuluma ngokubonga ngokusebenza kanzima, sikhuluma ngobuqhawe. Konke ngikwaziyo mina ngisuke ngikhuluma ngento engayifunda la ekhaya.
Broadcast live.
The festive get-together in the Life Artois is a 4-part special where we host and connect with aspirational personalities and their loved ones over a fine dining experience that all starts with a Stella. Hosted by myself, Unaiti, and GEMELLI owner, Alessandro.
Well done for meeting each other.
Yes.
You're both amazing people.
I married him because he ticked every box.
She lights me up.
We live in a society that shows the destination so often.
I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
Being a black woman, being a queer woman, and being a fat woman all at the same time.
How many minorities are you squeezed into? Is this a family that entered pageants together?
Where did you get that?
I'm not excited about it being a currency, though.
No. If you ever see a man on my page, you must know it's an ad and it's paid for. That was some iconic that we did.
Don't miss Festive Get Together, Season 2, Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. on Zanzi Magic.
Broadcast live.
The culture moves units, masses, and economies based on a single move, the movement of the heart. Creators aren't in their feelings, they create a feeling.
I'm so excited.
If we look at life through time, we don't have enough.
This kick says kick bad too. Chop this off the baddest.
If we watch it through culture, we'll know enough.
Oh my God!
Digital, analog, and print are mediums. Culture is forever. We don't do deals with culture. We research what's ideal in culture. Because culture is as big as its custodians prophesied. And our freedom has allowed us to tell its narrative. This means great is not only a feeling, it's what we aspire to create.
You know, when I say it's a party, it's a party.
So what are you waiting for?
We do what we love with the conviction that it's going to change the world. Well, it surely changes ours. We are not a movement, we are a culture of movement. Through beats, songs, visuals, data, content, insights, research, and lifestyle, we see culture differently.
Broadcast live.
When I listened to that album, the EP for me, I literally said, you are the voice right now.
When I went off, toes in
because me, with everything that I'm doing, whether you like it, whether you're against it, but at the end of the day, I'm here to really inspire the young guys. Now, when you listen to the music, there's positive songs. Now, young guys are coming up with songs as a message, you understand?
It's incredible. You have packed everything that was happening in the world.
They don't feel me, man. They don't feel me. Come down. They need to feel me. You know. Let's go. Bati.
She don't wanna Gucci design, cause she do me something that I know. A baby like it, your wine, cause she do me something that I know. She wanna Gucci design, cause she do me something that I know. Like it, your wine, Ako loco, ini-echa mimi, ako seluso. At your money tum 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 tum, cause my baby shum 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 shum.
Donald, take them to the falls. Hit up.
on to the next thing. The one I desire. Yes.
I followed Asha, man. Like, Asha is like probably my biggest inspiration, just as an artist, holistic. And I've watched him from day one, and the 701 Days and My Way. And I've always just said that, man, I want to be like this guy, man. I want to see myself one day in an arena, 5,000 people watching me or 10,000 people watching me there to watch. And I actually got to manifest that moment at Carnival City in 2016.
Sing along, say, babe, you're in deep. Girl, your love is so. That's the reason I should be in my heart. Girl, I love you more.
Broadcast live.
What is a dream? A dream is something we all have. People will box you and make you believe you can only be what they perceive of you. But you need to remember, you're on your own journey. In it, you'll meet incredible people who'll back you with their hands, their time, and resources. You'll also meet people who wish they could assist. At Slick on Life, we get requests from young people asking us to help them with their dreams. This is why we're supporting Nedbank's YouthX campaign. They're on a mission to find and invest in the best business ideas, innovations, and other proposals.
Action!
All you have to do is enter your work for the chance to win life-changing prizes that can change your future. I know, you're saying it's another one of those competitions, and what are the chances you'd be considered? Slick on Life has therefore asked Nedbank to make time with our followers and everyone else and assist them in preparing your pitch to widen your chances. Join us with Nedbank on the 13th of September at 6 o'clock on the Zoom link below. And also on our Twitter Spaces at 6:30 to ask all your questions to assist you in preparing to get to your dream.